States Food, Farm, and Jobs Bill was signed into law February 7, 2014. Now think back to September 30th, 2012, when the United States Farm Bill had expired. Without any legislation to replace it in the near future, America's farming and ranching families were left with little security for so many of the assets they had worked so hard to obtain in the past. And even some of the most dedicated, hardworking men and women in this nation had little hope when it came to seeing a new Food, Farm, and Jobs Bill to get this nation back on track. And until that day came, the United States agricultural industry would remain with an extended farm bill, and it is so that agriculturalists alike would be left without any immediate federal funding to operate and maintain so many portions of the industry that feed this very world. In early June, however, of 2013, the United States Senate pleased the Secretary of Agriculture, Tom Vilsack, when they acted in bipartisan support to pass a new Food, Farm, and Jobs Bill. But those feelings of success and progress soon came to a screeching halt when the United States House of Representatives failed to come to a consensus on funding certain areas like family food assistance programs and the investment in the economic growth of rural America. Yet again, leaving the United States agricultural industry without a budgeted farm bill and agriculturalists to rely solely on emergency relief funds that would eventually be exhausted. I believe in less need for charity and more of it when it is needed. And I can say with the utmost certainty that after October 30th, 2012, when Hurricane Sandy smashed into the East Coast with fury and an appetite for destruction, charity was needed oh so tremendously. Happening only 1 month after the expiration of the Farm Bill, agriculturalists and farmers along the East Coast had to wait 6 long months before any federal appropriations were made to compensate for agricultural losses. That's 184 days, 26 weeks, 6 months, half of 1 full year to wait for federal relief due to a natural disaster. And why? Because the United States federal government could not come to a consensus to fund and budget the most essential and the most necessary industry in this entire world. On a more local level, here in Colorado with the recent floods, the Farm Service Agency in the United States Department of Agriculture managed to compose an ECP, or an Emergency Conservation Program. This program served primarily to request funding from the federal government to pay for damages and losses from disasters like the flood in Colorado. Now, though these emergency funds exist, it's a fairly lengthy process to apply for, and it's quite difficult to pass federal inspection. And on the flip side of the issue, you have FSA and USDA employees who were only given a mere 30 days to distribute these applications and inspect hundreds of properties in their regional area. Not only that, but being an area along the Front Range that operates primarily off of the family farm, many of these properties date back multiple generations into the family, making them less likely to be up to current code or to pass current safety inspection. So yet again, the American agriculturalist is left without any current indemnity from the federal government. Now, though these ECPs and emergency relief funds exist, it all means very little when the United States federal government is shut down for 17 days in October of 2013, leaving America's agriculturalists yet again completely unavailable to any compensation or any emergency relief funds. With FSA and USDA offices closed, farmers and ranchers in the Dakotas and much of the Midwest can only sit and wait. And some of them sit and stare at their vast pastures. But these are empty pastures full of perished livestock. Tens of thousands of livestock lay waste across the Dakotas after the Atlas blizzard wreaked havoc across the terrain, only to be left lying across the terrain until the federal government reopens to assess the damages and the losses and compose yet again another temporary relief program. But I can say Agriculturalists were tired of temporary relief. They were tired of inadequate leadership, they were tired of an organization, and they were tired of not having a farm bill. I can say agriculturalists were hungry. They were hungry for leadership, and they were hungry for a structured, stable farm bill from Capitol Hill. I believe that agricultural life is pleasant as well as challenging. And I believe that if there's one community in this world that will persevere to save the family farm and the corporate ag industry, it is agriculturalists. We are a community that in hours of disparity will come together to assist those who lost everything to the 100-year flood in Colorado and compose relief funds for those who are completely wiped out by the Atlas blizzard in the Dakotas. It is not that our industry is weak itself. It is those who we have chosen to work for us that fail to practice any type of leadership, cooperation, and enough organization to not only supply farmers and ranchers with a new food, farm, and jobs bill, but the rest of the nation that required it just as tremendously. For far too long, the United States federal government delayed signing and passing the Food, Farm, and Jobs Bill. And it is up to us, as agriculturalists, and as a community, and as an association, to be certain that history